Hey guys, in this video we are going to continue with the caster assembly. At this point we've done 4 out of the 5 parts. We've done the post, we've done the shaft, the bracket, and the bushing, and now in this video we're going to do the wheel. So the wheel, like we've done with the post and the shaft, is going to be mostly utilizing the revolve command. And with the revolve command, you take your finished piece and then you cut it in half and then you draw half of the cross section. So for this, the quarter section would be this little eye shape right here. We will draw that eye shape and then revolve it about an axis. So to draw that little eye shape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw half of the eye and then mirror it to get my finished sketch, and then I will revolve it. So let's kind of try and memorize the dimensions. I see an eye shape. The innermost diameter is 14, 30, 70, 100. And then the thickness is 28. So when I draw half of that, it'll be 14. And then does each side pinch in 3? I see this side pinches in 3, but I think we might be missing a dimension. Or am I missing it? Because this is probably 3. I would imagine it's symmetrical, but it doesn't actually say it, right? And it should either say that this is 3, and then this is 22, or this is 3, but I don't see it. All right, we're going to assume that both sides pinch in 3. That's a pretty safe assumption, right? Okay, so again, you can either do dimensions as you draw them. I typically just draw the shape and then add dimensions later. So we're going to be going across, and we're going to be going across 14. We know that. I like to just draw it kind of ballpark and then add dimensions later. I'm going to have my top and bottom be the same distance. So notice how when I go to the same distance out as this one is, it automatically will pin it. I like that because it's the same for the top and the bottom. Sometimes it's not the same, and if it's not the same, you don't want it to extend the same distance. Okay, now I'm going to add a center line. So line, center line, go out, hit escape, and now let's add dimensions. This one is 14. What did I say? 14, 30, 70, 100. See, this is what I meant when I was saying, like, it's good to draw it a little bit similar, and there I didn't even do it. So the fact that it double crossed itself makes it a problem. So I'm going to go back, and then I'll do this one first to make it look better. So this one was the 100, and that should expand it enough. And now I can make this one 30, and this one 70. Not a big deal, just got to change up the order a little bit. Okay, and then the top is 14. I don't like the way it kind of extends over it. So to get around that, I'm going to hit dimension and say from here to the origin should be 0. Okay. This distance should also be 14. And then I want this to be 3. And then that should have automatically been made to be 3. And it is locked because I said that this is the same distance as that. And I think we're good. Now we do have fillets. We can do the fillets now or later. I'll do them after we revolve it. So now I'm going to mirror it. So to mirror, I'm going to create a mirror line. Again, I hate how Inventor doesn't let the y-axis be a mirror line. I feel like that's normally what people want to do anyway, but they didn't ask my opinion apparently. So construction line on the y-axis. Did that work? I don't see anything. Usually it's like a more visible. I just tried it twice, so I guess it's there. Mirror what? Mirror this, mirror line, apply, and done. And you can delete those if you want. You don't have to. And now we are good. And if you want to, see that it is there and just check it out. Okay, and I think we're good. So I'm going to finish this sketch, and I'm going to revolve it. And there we go. Ooh. Now we'll add some fillets. Again, you could have done this before. I'm just showing you how to do it with 3D. I see the outermost edges being an R2, and then this one being an R1. Are these R1 also? Can't quite tell. That looks like it's a curve. That doesn't. I don't care. These have this. These are 2. These are 1. If we want to do that one, fine. I don't care. So I'm going to do a fillet 2. 2 happens to be the default, and that was this one and that one. I'm going to hit apply because I'm going to do another one. So it saves that one and lets me redo it. And then we'll do 1. And then this and this was 1. And we'll leave it. I don't know. Let's look at it one more time. Do we think that that is a fillet? I guess so. What did I do? Sure. Okay. So now we're done drawing it. Let's change the material. It said hard rubber. I don't think they have hard rubber, so we'll just make it a rubber. Looks good. And now let's go to eye properties to change the eye properties. And this is part 4, wheel. And then we'll go to File, Save As, and make this the wheel. Okay, so we have 8 minutes left. I guess we'll start the assembly, and if we don't finish it, we'll continue. So I'm going to close out that, and I'm going to start now my assembly where I will put these all together. Standard IAM, and we will now place, not from Content Center, we're going to go place, and we are going to import all of our files that we just did. Where we caster. So I'm going to highlight all of them. Okay. So the first step after you do this is what? You should ground one of the pieces. I'm going to ground the wheel and make everything based around that. So right click the wheel and then say grounded. Now I can't move it. Everything else can move. And we can now build it. Let's go back and see what goes in what. So the bushing, notice how the length of the bushing is 28. So the bushing perfectly lines up inside this hole right here. Notice how this is diameter 14. This is diameter 14. That perfectly fits. Of course, in the real world, if this was diameter 14 and this was diameter 14, that gives you 0 wiggle room. That wouldn't fit in actuality. But Inventor doesn't really care about that. Inventor says, yeah, that works. Sounds good to me. So let's say constrain. Remember, we want to do the insert one. And we'll say that that outside goes to this outside. That's the wrong direction, so we'll change it up and hit apply. Okay. What's next? So we want the post to sit into here. Notice that this is 14 and this is 14.5, so that gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And then it'll rest on this little washer type thing here. So I'm going to put the bottom of the washer to the top of that to line that up. So that was here. So either this or this to the top of that. Wrong direction. I always guess wrong every time. Okay. What now? Now we're going to say that this goes through here, and now the thing that will make this next part tricky is if you put. Actually, I'm gonna wait. I'll just start and then I'll explain. I'm gonna put this key type thing into the hole. Whoop, and see, why does that look weird? Because I forgot to make it insert. So I'm gonna hit cancel, and you always gotta remember to do insert. No, I did mate before. Hey, I got it right the first try. It never happens. Okay. I think I did it backwards though. Yeah, I did it backwards. You see how there's that little notch right there? I should have done the notch thing. All right, so I'm gonna click this, and this is good. Now I can show you how to delete one. If I want to delete what I just did, you could do undo, or I can click either one of these because that insert involves both parts. I'll click this part and the shaft highlights, and if I expand that, there it is. I'm gonna delete it, and now I can move it about. So now I'm gonna constrain, mate, apply. Now there is that little notch, and that notch should be like lining up with that. Don't worry about if it doesn't line up perfectly. I won't be able to tell in the finished product anyway, and that's not a big deal. Okay. So now I'm gonna put this through here. Clearly this is not the right way you be building this in the real world, but Inventor doesn't care about physics. So it doesn't really matter the order that you build it. So watch what happens when I do this. Okay, I'm gonna hit OK. Looks good, right? Let's straighten that out and look at it dead on. So, see how it kind of is all the way to one side? You probably want that centered. But how do you center it? Because if you're trying to center it, then you won't be able to have it be flush with any surface. Remember, I have to choose a surface on the wheel to be lined up with it, but no surface on the wheel is going to give you perfectly centered on here. That's a problem. So the way to get around that to make it centered is we're actually going to do an offset command. So let's expand the wheel, and we'll see that insert. I'm not going to delete it, but instead I'm going to actually edit it. And I'm going to do an offset. What an offset does is it does a full insert constrain, but offsets it a little bit. So I'm going to offset it 1. Does that look good to you? It actually looks pretty good. All right, offset 1 works. Okay, we'll look at a nice isometric, and I think we're done with the part. So now the wheel, well, it's grounded, so maybe I should have did the bracket as the base. Yeah, in hindsight, I actually probably should have did the bracket as the base to show you can move the wheel, but now I can move this freely, but not the wheel. Doesn't really matter in the finished product. I just think that it would be more resembling the real function if you can see the wheel move. Not a big deal. I could unground the wheel and ground this now. And why is that not working? I just ungrounded you. Maybe it, okay, I think it is moving, but you can't see it because it's the same. So if you look over here, you can kind of see it moving a little bit. It just looks no different. Okay, so we're going to do a file, save as, caster assembly. And that's it for this video.